Thank you. Hello and good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well. We'll give a little bit of time for people to pop in here. We got some pretty cool announcements. I do want to apologize about Tuesday not having your standard video some of you guys are used to. No one complained, so that was good. And then for the locals community, we're at this point, it's the Working Dragon Mystic Layer community. I didn't do a live on Friday because I had to go get there was some kind of maintenance recall inspection. I had to go up there, got stuck up there for hours on end on my vehicle. Luckily, nothing was wrong with my vehicle, but you gotta make sure they check it and all that good stuff. So, I just got tied up on the other side it wasn't even town because I had to go out of town to do it. But anyway, wasn't able to get back in time. My apologies. Hopefully everybody is having a great week. I'm going to be chugging water because I'm dehydrated. I've not had enough water this weekend. And if the camera is a little wonky, I apologize. It would seem that YouTube has suddenly decided that my camera settings, it doesn't want to save them for some weird reason. Hopefully that gets ironed out shortly. Worst case scenario, though, we don't have things framed up and you get to see an ugly wall behind me instead of the tapestry framed where it is. So it's not going to stop us from doing any content or anything like that. Let's see. So speaking of the community, before we get into that, if you are interested in checking out our community, go, Jade, if you're here, please drop a link to it below, or you can find a link below to Working Dragon Mystic Layer. It's our locals community over at locals. Over there, we can talk about topics, content, and stuff we can't put anywhere else. It's real benefit, allows us to have open conversations. We are about to be doing, myself and other admin are talking about potentially scheduling open Zoom call kind of hangouts, not necessarily per se classes or anything, just a chance for you to come in and hang out. I, for one, am actually going to start putting at least one of those a week on the calendar because there's plenty of times I'm in the office where I can be working or something and I can just enjoy a big, good old bull session and some jibber jabber. So if you guys want to hang out, that's definitely a way that you could do so. Consider checking it out. Now, those would be open until, of course, the Zoom call's full. Then if somebody shuffles out, so it become first come, first serve, obviously. We are having a few workshops that'll be on the online school soon. Those are coming. I'll keep you all posted when those are ready. Of course, the local supporters, the paid supporters, you all will get first notification. So you'll have about 24 to 48 hours if you want to sign up for the workshops early. Well, hold on. No, rephrase that. You guys actually will have access to the workshop for free, so you won't need to worry about that. We changed that. That would be the old setup. Sorry. Old stuff stuck in brain. Need to get that out. Hopefully, yeah. So that's a great way to support us. There's free memberships over there, and then there's the supporters, the paid supporters. The paid supporters do get a lot of extra content, like access to the free workshops, supporter-only workshops, supporter-only streams, and stuff like that. But there is still plenty of content that is available to all members over there. So definitely consider checking that out. So now that we got that out of the way, we got some pretty cool announcements, I think. So I have been getting busier and busier and busier and busier during the week, and I have been trying to jump through hoops to try and get everything done, whether it be the videos I do here or things I do in my personal life, the house cleaning, just house maintenance, the things we all have to do. And I love what I do with my community and the ability to share information and to hear from you all. And when I started this, that's exactly what I was doing. I was starting something that I could share this information. I could hopefully inspire somebody, or at least give you something to think about that might be able to help you to improve your life. Because that's my goal, really, is to help you to be the best you can be through self-mastery and self-empowerment, right? That was the foundational goal that I really kind of was hoping for. And I've seen that, absolutely seen that, and I couldn't be happier. But for those of you who don't know this, is going to come shock, so please sit down. I'm a workaholic. um, and one of the goals that I have failed on is to keep this as, a project that would allow me to build a school of courses and everything where you guys could get that information, to potentially present the workshops and have a community where I could pop in and help and still have time in my life to do all the things I was doing beforehand. Honestly, it's to the point where I'm spending nearly well over 60 hours a week with YouTube. But this week was so cool because I was forced to not do all the things that I do, right? By the way, if you are here, give us a thumbs up. It'll really help out the channel a lot. Okay. And it showed me how much extra stuff I'm doing that I don't really have to do, but it also inspired me something because, like if you go into our analytics, you can see that, like, hands down, the thing that is this channel is really Magickal Coffee Hour, which is interesting. But so what I'm thinking about doing going forward is our Tuesday videos that I'm considering taking the Tuesday video, coming here on Magickal Coffee Hour, the first half of Magickal Coffee Hour. We're going to talk about whatever topic it would have been I was going to talk about on Tuesday anyway. That way everyone's here. We can all take part in that discussion, as it were. And then the second part will be your standard open forum, fun chatter that Magickal Coffee Hour always has been. And that'll definitely give us a bit more of a almost podcast like feel, because everybody wants to call me a podcast. I don't know that I qualify as a podcast. I don't really know what the difference is, I'll be honest with you. But more importantly, because this is a question I get from a lot of people, is could I do subject matters and titles for Magickal Coffee Hour? Well, it's been really hard because we talk about so many things, right? And it's always hard to have a new topic for Coffee Hour and a new topic for Tuesday if I tried to do that. But if we start doing the first half with that video topic, that can be our title, which makes that episode very searchable. And of course, the aftermath, we got that whole fun-loving thing that we've all come to love Coffee Hour for. By all means, feel free to let me know what you think on that. But that is the direction I'm possibly going to be tinkering with. So next week, don't be surprised if you see a topic alongside the video. Because honestly, I've come to enjoy everything you guys contribute to the live chats and everything. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to get your guys' feedback during the live streams as well. Let's see. Before we go any further, let's jump in here. Ruby Lord, hello. Skilled, good to see you. Violet Star, good to see you. Blue Star, welcome. Megan, welcome. Brennan, welcome. Brennan has a question. What is the best God to work with to bring order into your life and in stagnation? That's more philosophical than a specific. If you ask 10 different mages, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Ask 100 mages, you'll get 100 different answers. Some mages don't even work with gods, period. So that's going to be very different for different people. And even the concept of what order is in one's life actually can be debated on what that means, because order and organization in my life and order and organization in my mom's life are very, 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 very different, which is kind of funny because we're both a little OCD, but we apply them very differently in our lives. I could not live in how structured and perfect her life is. Like, she will literally pour a cup of coffee, wipe the counter, pour a cup of coffee, wipe the counter. I've sat there and watched her. She didn't even spill coffee. She wipes the counter. She touches the counter. She wipes the counter. And she's not like a germaphobe. It's just, this is her habits. This is what she does to make the home comfortable for her. And I get that. I respect that. I respect her home. In fact, I'm extra super paranoid about cleaning when I'm at her house, because it is her house. At the same time, when I lived there, oh, it stressed me out. It stressed me out. There were a few times I was like, am I the reason she's cleaning so much? But, after moving out, I was, no, this is just what she does. That being said, I don't like a mess. I really don't like a mess. But at the same time, clutter doesn't really bother me. Like my office right now, due to research materials and other stuff, it's just cluttered. And I will occasionally go through and declutter and straighten. My desk, I have to have the surface of my desk clear. Like I've seen people where they have the entire surface of their desk has got something on it somewhere, and there's room for whatever the notepad they're writing on or their desktop or laptop. I can't do that. I can't work like that. I need to have that space because I'm constantly doing different things, and I need to have things to be able to move around. So I need that space. So order is actually going to be represented differently for a lot of different people. In fact, for me, like I love the outdoors. I love nature. I love storms. I love rain. A lot of people would view the outdoors as very chaotic and ever changing, and that would be a fair description. But I also love the natural order of the outdoors. There is a certain comfort that I find in that. It does not feel chaotic to me. So there's that. So as to a best God, I really can't give you one. For me, when I'm thinking order, I look to gods of intellect, study, um, and wisdom. Those are the ones I look to. That may not be right for you, though. I actually know some people who turn to, for example, Loki when they're trying to get their life in order. Most people I know, myself included, would be like, what the hell? That's crazy. That makes no sense. But to them, it does. In fact, my wife is one of them. So she doesn't necessarily, like if she sat down and tried to define order, she would agree Loki's not really order. But at the same time, like for what my wife lives her life, how she likes to live her life, and what is that comfortable, organized, what is her, what's right for her, boom, he'd be right on par. So I can only give certain aspects based on my personal views. I don't know you as a person directly. So I would say seek out a deity that speaks to you and the way you wish your life to be would be the best way I could sum that up after all that rambling. Hope that helps a little. Angela, wonderful to see you. Mortal, welcome. Immortal, I just realized we did not go live over on Rumbler this week. I had so many things going on. I had like the camera problem threw me off. So sorry. I'll try to make sure we're doing Rumble more. I botched it. My apologies, people. Let's see. Megan, improving people for the betterment of all. Genius. I don't know if I'm a genius, but that was my goal. I'm hoping, at least in some small level, I'm even succeeding. Other than just being entertained. Well, you know what? Actually, I don't care. If I'm just entertaining and supplying y'all with a laugh of a Southern mage out here rambling like a madman, even if that's just entertaining and bringing some happiness to your life, I'll take that as a win. But I really do hope I'm in some way helping with that self-mastery and improvement. Let's see. Jason, good to see you. Anything you choose works for me. I'm grateful, period. Well, Violet, sir, thank you. Well, that's good because I can tell you, I don't ever foresee me just stopping because I'll be honest, I enjoy jumping into the streams, talking and sharing info. Like, even if I ever said to myself, that's it, I quit, I guarantee you inside a month, I'm going to pop back here and like, hi, I'm back. I wanted to share something with you. So here we go. And then we take right off again. I've had for someone who's terrified of cameras the way I am, I have had way too much fun getting to know this community. I really have. And being able to reach out and help and share what little insights I have for what they're worth. So, yeah. Scrimps, good to see you. It has been a while, Scrimps. Hope you're doing well. Not having this. Welcome. Good to see you. Took me a minute to figure out the name again. One of these days I'll start getting it. Karma, welcome. Bornaldus, good to see you. Hey, Jade, you made it. If you can, Jade, drop us a link to the online school and the Working Dragon Mystic Layer Locals channel for people who are looking to check those out. Um, let's see. Question here. Blue Star. If entities are real and not subconscious, are entities made by people or were entities discovered by people? Ah, great. Here we have like, what is this, 3 or 4 walls of philosophy you're trying to tear us into? This is definitely the mage side of Deadpool in it, ain't it? Because you're right. There are people, I did a video. Some people think entities are strictly subconscious, and I have no problem with that. And then there are people who think entities are real. And I used to be the subconscious viewpoint, and I moved over to real just from my personal experiences. Then you get to the point of were they created by us? This is usually believed to be that we created them as thought forms or egregores or thought forms that became egregores, that kind of concept. Or did we actually somehow reach out and contact them, or did they contact us? Was there kind of a discovery of them? And that one actually gets more muddied than the first question, because really it's impossible to know for sure. Many magicians, myself included, tend to be able to find and break down what we believe to be a true energy pattern and an egregore. And in many cases, those patterns are pretty definable, and it deals with energy saturation. Here's the reason that I would say definable, but absolutely certain provable. No, first off, they're not provable scientifically at all. You have to just throw that out. Secondly, the big differential gradient between the two things is energy saturation. Well, most egregores that people brush up into most days are very, very young. That's their saturation's low. But if the entity saturation had been poured into generation after generation after generation after generation after generation after generation for thousands of years, the saturation could be far higher than what we identify as egregores today. Thus, we probably wouldn't notice a dividing line anymore. Potentially, possibly, in theory. And to that level, I have to say that I think that the egregore concept does hold water, holds quite a bit of water, really. And for people who think that we humans have created all the entities out there, I can see and understand why they think that. I actually do think some entities out there did come into existence that way. I do not believe all entities came into existence that way. I do not. And that is from personal experience. I can't prove it. I can't photograph it. I can attempt to walk someone through my line of thinking, but I can't prove it. And for you as an individual, I'm going to say you're going to have to look at it yourself and figure out where you stand, work with a few entities, figure out what feels right to you. There is no one true right or wrong. Now, if you're religious, sure, religion requires, that higher power, that being, that entity, great. And if that's you, no issues. I got no issues with that at all, regardless of the side of the fence. But no one out there can actually prove one over the other in any actual scientific manner of actual proof, if that makes sense. Great question, though. Great question. Let's see. Isaac, can one do invocation in the same? Yeah, you can do invocation pretty much anywhere you go, though I would be somewhat careful because invocation can have side effects and everything. And depending on your amount of focus and skill set, like if you're a beginner, I wouldn't do it. There can be way too many things to distract you. And maintaining your conscious mind during true invocation gets difficult, but there's no technical rule to say you can't do it. I know people who have done it. I've in the past done invocations where I was invoking an entity for a client, or I was walking a student through a procedure that they weren't understanding the text and my explanations, so they wanted a demo. I did that. So it is doable. It is doable. But yeah, like Megan's sitting there, she doesn't recommend it. It is doable, but does not recommend it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. Um, and if you do it, it should probably be around people you trust, because you can actually lose yourself, your senses. You don't know what's going to happen. It can go directions. Um, sorry, my name's so. No. Don't apologize at all. First off, I'm dyslexic. Secondly, I'm Southern. My pronunciation is hilarious. Like if I'm playing a video game and trying to read some of the words, whether it be Final Fantasy, God of War, whatever it may be, my wife is often correcting me. So don't feel bad at all. Don't feel bad at all. I actually love the name. I really do. I absolutely love the name. It just, my brain pauses and tries to figure out things. It's just how I'm wired. I actually love that I like to figure out things. Sometimes names get me. So yeah, don't worry about that. Let's see. Reaction to YouTube invading my privacy when I was setting up this account. I can get that. I can get that. Like they're constantly changing things in the background. That's one reason, we do have the locals community, because that way we have the community. It's there. You guys don't have to worry about ever losing contact with us, anything, in case some random change to policy or something gets us. So far, YouTube's been pretty good to me. Can't lie. They've been pretty good to me. I can't say I'm just on board with everything they do, but they've been good to me in the channel so far. So I'll take that. And when it comes to what I can and can't do, partnerships, all that, the monetization, I agree to it. It's all part and part, and it's a free platform to get here and talk with y'all. So it's hard to complain. But I get what you're saying. I'm not a big fan of sharing things. I like to keep my stuff privacy too. And I'm not a big fan of metaverse and all that stuff. So Jade, thank you for dropping that. See, not having this. I thought entities were metaphors for subconscious stuff until I unexpectedly started channeling. Yep, I've heard that happening too. Honestly, it was working with entities directly where like subconscious just doesn't explain it no more. I got into the weeds and some weird stuff, and subconscious just wasn't answering it no more. So I had to reevaluate my stance, and that's something I tell you all. Much like the video where I said, let your gnosis be wrong, be willing to go back, consider, maybe you're wrong about this. That's how we grow. Like if we are willing to unchange, we're not willing to bend, we're not willing to, you can't grow if you're just, no, this is where I'm staying, this is where I'm sitting, screw it, this is what I believe. I'm not considering anything else. This is my box. I'm happy. You can't grow in the box. You have to get out of the box. Let's see. That makes sense. Thank you. No, it was a complicated question. I loved the question, Blue Star. I really did. Not humans aren't as special as we think we are. Well, I agree. Honestly, I think we're like the bottom heap in the multiverse. You want my personal opinion? Like, if these other entities out there are older, we're still in diapers. We're lucky to even be crawling, if you want my opinion. And I know there's a lot of people out there that want to think we're from all these different dimensions and places, and they're trying to find anything they can to give themselves a gold star and feel special. But at the end of the day, we're humans, for better or worse. But I think honestly, the thing is to look at, we are humans, and that actually gives us a great deal of potential of growth, and it gives us the potential to enjoy the human existence. And I think far too many people get caught up in either their ego, thinking they're so special that they end up not enjoying anything, or they think they're so special they never actually develop and grow. So many tragic things, or they end up not enjoying life in general. And unfortunately, they seek escapism from reality, and you can't actually develop the self by escaping, unfortunately, sadly. See, Angela, I just like boxes. I try and figure out why there is a view. Okay, now why is there? Yeah, I love different perspectives. That's one thing one of my early mentors, had nothing to do with magic, taught me. Everyone has a different perspective and a point of view. And if you're trying to understand a topic, don't get 2 points of view, don't get 3 points of view or 4. He's like, at the bare minimum, shoot for it as a golf ball. and every divot on that golf ball is a point of view. He's like, try to understand every single point of view. In that, you'll have a better understanding of what might be the truth. That was what he always drilled into me. Okay, did we? Yep. See, I mean, all of the animals, insects, plants, and everything else on the world create the world consciousness that I think gives rise to these entities. That's actually an interesting theory. It's one I had a talk with one time with a shaman about the potential that some of these intellectual entities might also be partially created by the consciousness of animals that, for the most part, humans don't consider very sentient or intelligent, which I would beg, I'm sorry, I argue that. I think animals are very, very intelligent. They're far more intelligent than we give them credit for. Horses, dogs, cats, all these animals clearly prove that. I spend enough time out in the woods and in nature. I mean, animals they don't demonstrate their intelligence in the way that we view it. Like they can't read and write arithmetic, woohoo. But at the same time, take a human's massive intelligence and drop your average modern human in the wilds without an air conditioner, without a heater, without specially tailored clothing, and say, survive. Most of the populace can no longer do that, period. End of story. They die. Heck, most of the populace, you turn the power off for 1 year, they're screwed. That to me, that sounds pretty ignorant and stupid. That you can't even survive on your own planet. So again, I would have to agree with you on that, and that's something me and that shaman talked about for a while. Because I do think animals are far, far smarter. Now, don't think I'm suddenly going to go vegan because of that. Because not only do I find them intelligent, I also think they're smarter than us because when it comes to the natural balance and understanding the cycle of life and death within nature, they don't get all uppity about it and they just go with it. So I think we could actually stand to learn quite a bit from them. And weirdly, oftentimes it's those lessons that I think animals show us that I do honestly often hear that wisdom coming from entities, especially entities like Freya and Odin, and even the dragons. I hear it from them quite a bit. So, I mean, there's a lot in that wheelbarrow that you could easily say puts fuel onto that fire for absolute certain. Which is a really cool thing in my opinion. But then again, I like animals better than people. I'm not gonna lie, I really do. Let's see. I love ginger cookies. A lot of people don't like ginger cookies. They're one of my favorites. I'd have to double check that, mate. I really would, because a lot of people quote different definitions in science and they get them way off, like energy. Because that's like my big pet peeve as someone who works, does what I do, because science does not define energy in the way that most metaphysical practitioners define it or claim that science defines it. Same thing with quantum. Like all these quantum mystics out there, they completely, utterly misuse the word quantum. They have no clue what it means. They misrepresent the science. So, and I can't. I'm going to have to just say you very well might be right on this because honestly, I know a lot of biased scientists. I'm not gonna lie. So, but because I might have a bias, I don't want to say you're dead set right because I don't know the definition off the top of my head. Actually, hold on. You know what? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Here we go. Let's see what it is if we can. So, hmm. Well, here's one where it says intelligence is the mental quality that consists of the ability to learn from experience, adapt to new situations, understand and handle abstract concepts, and use knowledge to manipulate one's environment. In which case, animals do actually fall under that definition in that particular case. This is only a quick search, though, so I'm not going to say these are the standard. And this is the Webster Dictionary, which don't actually always count as science, so can't go with that one. I'll do a little research. But at least from that first definition for the scientific definition, which I think might be more of the psychological definition. You want my personal opinion? But yeah, so by that definition, animals would fall into it. It's one of those little things, you know. Got to look into those. Oh, then you can't be saying how science define it if it doesn't have a definition. You actually have to go from scientist to scientist and specifically ask them how they would view it. They're in kind of we've already walked ourselves into a paradigm there. That's something I try to be careful of. Because I mean, it's a pet peeve of mine, the way anyone who studies magic tries to use the word quantum and energy to claim scientific proof of magic, and they don't even use the words in the scientific manner. It's a pet peeve of mine. Which I covered it in a workshop, and I'm actually, a lot of people asked me to cover those definitions in another workshop, which I am planning to do. And actually, that's one that I could probably do pretty soon. So local members, if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. We will be talking about some of those definitions. And I've had some people ask me to cover a few other topics related to science and whatnot and mysticism and my thoughts on them, because y'all know, like, I studied science. I love science, but I'm not a scientist. Like, I don't have a degree in that shit. So it is one of those things I think would be fun topics to have over at the locals community, maybe even here on Coffee Hour, depending on the topic, because I know some of them can get heated. But it's just one of those things that I find fascinating. And it's one of the reasons I don't like spiritual healers, too. Of course, that and what was it, 12 of them tried to kill me. So at 12 different times in my life, they tried to, yeah. I've had 12 spiritual healers tell me that they have absolutely positively healed me of my epilepsy. Newsflash, spoilers alert, I'm still epileptic. So, and no, before anybody's like, well, religions will do that. No. Some of these were non-religious spiritual healers. Some of these were religious healers. Some of them were magicians, blah, blah, blah. No one gets a pass. No one. That's why the only ones I have respect for is, like, I know one Reiki practitioner. They do Reiki. She's actually a trained masseuse, but with all her treatments, she says this is not replacement for medical attention. This aids in what you get from your doctor. Do both. I have a lot of respect for her because she actually puts that little nuance in there. Whereas I lived in a town where there were 5 different so-called Reiki masters, and each one of them completely denounced modern medicine in every way and told their clients to completely avoid it, as it would even undo the Reiki healing. And, well, let's just say they all had a few lawsuits on them. That's the nice way to put it. Let's see. Char knew there was a round table when you were discussing scientific language. Oh, there was a round table, Char. Thank you. Yes. That was the one Oscar joined in on us with, as well as, is either Pipe Smoking or Immortal. I want to say it might have been Pipe Smoking Heathen for that one. I can't remember if we dragged Immortal in on that one or not. But yes, if you guys are interested in that, check out that roundtable chat. Charnu is absolutely correct. Immortal Pipe was in it. Okay, so it was Pipe Smoking Heathen. where has that little boy been? I ain't seen our bearded buddy. Pipe Smoke, if you're out there, we miss you, man. Uh, that was a really fun roundtable because instead of just talking about definitions, we got to also talk about the perspectives. Um, and I do think, like, well, we talked about it earlier with the golf ball. Perspective is such a valuable thing. Understanding your point of view and your path, that's great, but also try to understand other people's perspectives because there's wisdom. There is wisdom there. And far too often, our egos, our bias, and everything shuts the door on so much wisdom because of it. Now, wisdom, pathways, what works for one person and another, those are entirely different from facts. Like a fact is a fact is a fact. They're unchangeable, they're immutable, and I kind of like them because of that. But let's be honest, magic, spiritualism, those things aren't facts. They're, they are subjective in a lot of ways. And wisdom in and of itself is somewhat subjective. That's the reason parables, for example, have such power, because every time you read a parable, it could speak to you in a different way because of the different events taking place in your life at that moment in time. And because of that, it gives you new insight, a new way of considering something. It just, your brain, it's like, hold on, this is something I hadn't considered. It almost works like music. How many of us have heard the same song over and over and over and over and over and over again? We know it word for word, right? You're just stuck on a problem. There's something going on in your life. You can't get past it. You can't figure it out. You've tried everything. You're sitting there. That same song, you've heard it a million times. You know all the words. You could recite it in your sleep. Comes on somewhere in that song. Something, some line, some comment, some musical note, whatever it may be, pops up and you're like, oh, I know what to do. It's the human brain is inspired in so many ways. And that inspiration and that wisdom that can take hold, it doesn't have to be a fact. It doesn't have to be immutable, but we do have to be open to it. And I mean, for me, that's the reason when I'm relaxing or I'm doing something or I am stuck, I will turn music on. I will turn my playlists on because I'm going to be thinking, sure, I'm going to be relaxing. I might be meditating. Sometimes I'll go play a video game. Sometimes I'll go work in the yard. But there's always going to be a sound or some music or something because I want to be open to any form of inspiration that can come, truly. And sometimes the multiverse has the damnedest ways to inspire us. It really does. I got a friend, most people call him a full-blown idiot. His nickname's Nitro. I've seen him set swimming pools on fire. And some of the things he does, some of the ways he acts, he does seem like a completely ridiculous individual. At the same time, this man, I've seen some of the smartest people I know all trying to come up with and tackle this one problem, this one thing, and they're using all their brain power. And he comes in munching on some sandwich, a burrito, or a taco, something, and he's like, wait, well, why don't you just, and he throws out the most simplistic, mind-numbing answer, and all these smart people are like, oh my God, he's right. Why didn't we see it? He has a completely different view of the world, and that view itself can bring its own wisdom. Remember that. Sorry, those healers messed you up. Infallible healing forever. I got no issue with technical spiritual healing. It's just I will not ever state that it replaces modern healing. I think it's a reckless thing. And yes, not only what they've done to me, but what I have, because of what I do, because my place in the public, what I have constantly received reports on and checked on. And actually, as I've worked as a PI for a while, got to see a lot of it on that end too. So yeah, I'll be honest with you. I would say probably 80 to 90% of those so-called people are charlatans. I like to think that number's high. I hope that number's high. But unfortunately, for the casework that I've done over the years and everything, and the letters and the responses I've seen, if I fudge the number down to where I hope it would rather be, I feel like I'm lying to myself. So I can't fudge it. I can say I hope, I can say I wish, but if you ask me point blank logically where I think it's at, I can't push it down there. There's a difference in hope and what I believe reality to be, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, they rarely align. Let's see, Blue Star. How long should you work with your guardian dragon before you get co-magician? I'm not sure if I should get a co-magician yet, as my experiences, arcane senses are very poor. Well, if your arcane senses are good enough to get your guardian dragon, which is what it's reading like here, it differs from person to person. I usually recommend give your guardian dragon at least a couple weeks with you, sometimes a month. I have heard people working with their guardian for an entire year. I think that's a little excessive, but there's nothing wrong with it either. There's nothing wrong with it. In general, let's say if we were just to take the large sampling of students I have had over the years, I would say anywhere from 4 weeks would be more than sufficient. So that's basically a month. I would say easily every student I've ever worked with, I'm encouraging them to begin the process and begin trying after a month. But that's me personally. Now, with that said, if they have a reason, if they have a logical reason or concern, I always encourage them to voice that to me, and I weigh it, and then we decide if I should give them, take another month or so. But I'll be honest, very, 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 very few students have ever had a thought or concern that actually justified that, because I'm afraid I'll screw up is usually the most common. That's not a good reason. Arcane senses is actually a reason I hear a lot, and that's actually, I would say that's a good reason. But the reason I don't usually tell them to hold is because a lot of people fall into perfection paralysis. And if your senses were good enough to get a guardian dragon, they're good enough to move on, and both the guardian and the co-magician can help you develop your senses further. So it feels more like you're doubting yourself more than it's the senses in most cases, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to be mean here in any shape, form, or fashion, by the way. I know I come off as a complete ass sometimes, so I apologize if I'm doing it this time. But yeah, I mean, if you got your guardian and you've been working with your guardian for a while, by all means, go ahead. I want to say in Dragon Magic 101, it's only about 2 or 3 weeks that we recommend in that particular class. So yeah, you'd be good. You didn't give me a time statement, but if you got that 2 to 4 weeks, you're solid. Hope that helps you a little bit. I like facts, but also like when interesting things make you look for new facts. And that's true. That's always true. That's like my mom still laughs at me because I read research papers for fun. Okay. I'm a nerd. I'm boring. Sorry. That's what I do. Okay. Maybe not boring because I do a lot of stupid shit too, but I'm a nerd. And I love that stuff. I love data collection. I love to see how the data was collected. I like to see the peer review research. I like to see, is this actual research paper a legitimate good source of data, or is it bogus, right? So I love to do that stuff. Why? I don't know. I'm weird. But it is something I do, and it served me well in my lifetime. But one of the things I do love about it is not just do I get to review these things, but every time I sit down and review something, there's always a chance of it sparking something in my brain that sends me down a new trail to learn. Carnivore diet's actually a great example of this. Like I started seeing random things posted and the proven health benefits of this, and this. Growing up in the 80s, that's an insane statement, quite literally. But then again, I'd also learned several years earlier that low fat, high carb is very bad for someone with epilepsy, because that's the only time I was really truly having bad grand mal seizures is when I was eating super healthy according to the 80s. So obviously things can be fallible, right? And it got me wondering, because I like bacon and eggs. I like steak. I like burgers. Got me thinking. Did a little research, found out about the Atkins diet, those kinds of things, done a little bit more research, started diving in, started finding more and more clinical physicians who is doing more and more research. And then I actually found out way back in the 60s and 70s, this research already started existing and was ignored. And it was just a fascinating trip down the rabbit hole. And it was, even seeing the data was really hard for me to buy into it, because I got a whole lifetime from growing up in the 80s to this was, oh Lord, this was what? This was after 2000. So, most of my life at that point, an entire paradigm shift. But I kept going down the rabbit hole. And now I'm at a point where I've applied it to my life. I've actually had it heal a lot of things, a lot. I feel better now than I felt in many, many, many years. And it's reversing damage that, because I'm an idiot, I actually did to myself. Not, self-harming. It's, I did stupid things, motorcycle wrecks, jumping off stuff I probably shouldn't have jumped off, fighting when I shouldn't have fought, normal, stupid stuff. It's just, I did a lot of it. But those injuries are now healing. I'm getting better. There was a point where if I got up in the morning, even as before I was in 25, like my joints sounded like Rice Krispies just getting up. It was that bad. I don't do that no more. I do not do that no more. So, I agree with you, Angela. It gives you an opportunity to learn. It gives you an opportunity to pursue. And I mean, I've actually dove deep into like vegetarianism and veganism. And like there was this one doctor, I can't remember his name. He did this like big carbohydrate diet thing. I read his book and researched it. So seeing how the different things affect the body and its hormonal reactions and everything, there's a lot more to it. There is a lot more to it than they was telling us in the 80s and stuff like that. Now, some people jump on the conspiracy train. Fine. You feel free, but I'm not going to go on a conspiracy train. But I do think some of it is possibly market represented. But then again, I remember the words my grandfather told me. Pointing at the TV, he's like, you can listen to that ignorant box all you want. He's like, but I highly recommend you go to the library and do some thinking for yourself. Now, back then, I trusted the news. I trusted the media. It's like, why would they lie to us? That's the dumbest thing. But he was right. He was right. I'm not saying they have a second agenda, third agenda, whatever. They may not. But if you're willing to do your research, if you're willing to do the legwork, if you're willing to think for yourself and not just listen to the ignorant box, as he put it, you can avoid the pit holes either way. And even though he did not nurture my love of science, weirdly, I got grounded for getting an A on evolution. He is actually one of the ones who taught me that research, checking the data, following up, doing the legwork for yourself is important. And for that, I am grateful. Anyways, that was another rant. Boy, we rants than that, don't we? Let's see. What's the crazy advice you ever got from a dragon that worked? Do I have to answer that? Drink water. I know it sounds weird, but like when it comes to water, like when I think water, I think hydration. That's just where my brain is, hydration. And I got all the old things, urine color, all those things that, how dehydrated are you? Blah, 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 yakety schmackety, right? And of course, I know the relationship between water and flushing, electrolytes, all those things. I knew all that. And it's one of those things where actually is why this channel was going, to be honest with you. I could not shake a cough. I just could not do it. That thing was been going for, Halloween says it was going for like 3 or 4 months. I don't remember going that long. Maybe it was, though. Maybe it was. And I decided to get some advice from the dragons. And they said, stop. It's like, take, your ibuprofen or whatnot if you need for your headache or whatnot. But drink water. Chug it like you can't stop chugging. And I was like, how's that going to help? And they're like, it will hydrate you. It will loosen everything up. It'll stop the internal dryness. It will just help clear you up. And I'm like, but I'm not dehydrated. And they're like, we're not saying you're dehydrated. Fine, I'll do it. And honestly, I did it to prove it wouldn't work. And listen to me, I'm telling the dragons I work with that, This is the way my brain's wired, people. I will argue till I'm dead. Actually, I'll probably argue after that. Truth. Um, but I did. You've seen that metal water bottle? I think that thing's like 36 ounces. I was drinking 4 to 6 of those a day. And of course, I've got this little canteen thing here, this water bottle. This is 24 ounces. And, you know, I've gotten to where I just keep these around me. But it worked. It worked. And I know that may not sound crazy to you all. To me, that's crazy. But like to me, it felt like the dumbest thing on the planet. Honestly, for me, that felt like the craziest one, Angela. Blue Star, thank you, Immortal and Drake. Take that into account. It's been like a few months. Oh, a few months, you should be good to go. Definitely. I need to work with both to develop senses. It helps experience the sense between the two. Yep. Okay. Yep. Working with them both is definitely helpful. I'm stopping myself from going deep into dragon magic yet because I need to focus on the other entities I'm already working with. I need to try and rein in my ADD a bit. Yeah, there is a point of over diluting your practice. I've said this before. Like you guys know I've worked over the years with a lot of things, but when I'm working, like I'm doing a path working or something, I focus. Like I try to stay in that lane as much as possible. Because if you're trying to do too many things at once, you're not going to get the benefit out of them. So I totally understand that one right now. That's actually a good one. And yeah. I got a bit of ADD myself. I can't sit still. I got to be doing something. It drives my wife crazy sometimes because I'm just randomly start talking, asking questions. And she's like, where the hell did this come from? Or we'll be having a conversation. It's a perfectly normal conversation. There's a 30 to 60-second pause. And my brain goes, okay, here we are. Let's go over here. And now I'm asking her questions about this. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I have to explain it to her. She's like, how'd you get here? And I explained it to her and she sees the road. But if anyone ever saw Ace Ventura When Nature's Call, you know where he cuts through the forest? That's what my brain just did. It just went right through the forest singing chitty chitty bang bang. And that's how my brain works. And luckily she loves me. I truly believe she loves me because her life's never boring because of me, even if I can be annoying. Hey, Drake at work got pretty slow. Just thought I'd say hi. Hey, creator. Glad you could say hi. Mugs up to you. Well, water bottle up to you. I'm working at Waffle House. Hey, yeah. Sanctuary Waffle House, mate. I love me some Waffle House. I worked the grill at Waffle House for several years. Wait, no, it wasn't years. For a while. I liked it. I mean, anytime I'm in an area with a Waffle House, like it saddens me when the military puts us someplace without a Waffle House. I love Waffle House. Now, people, it's not 5-star dining. It's Waffle House. Everyone belongs at Waffle House. You are not a derelict at Waffle House. And there's always comfort food. There's always, I've had a bad day. I need food. You know, it's good. It's soul food. That's a good way of putting it. That is a good way of putting it. Actually, though, so one of the things we did, we got stationed in, where was that? Washington State once. My buddy Jim came up and he's like, hey, I got an idea, guys. Why don't we all get Waffle House? And I'm like, that's a great idea. Why don't you get everyone's order? I'll pay. He's like, all right, cool. He walks around. I'm like, somebody's going to tell him because there's at least 10 of us there, right? So he's walking around getting everyone's order, right? How they like it. He's got all the orders. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, when you get there, here's my card. Put the order in, purchase it. He's like, all right. I was like, I was like, I don't know where it's located. Do you have a GPS? He's like, I got a GPS. Don't worry about it. Cool. Dude gets in his truck. By the way, he drives a full-size heavy-duty dually. That's important because of the gas. Gas was really high at this time. Dude was gone for 4 or 5 hours before he called us. And he's like, I can't find it. I was like, what are you talking about? You can't find it. He's like, I can't find it. And he starts like getting on his phone and he's like, You're an ass. I'm like, what? He's like, there's not a Waffle House on this side of the country. I was like, well, I didn't say how far away it was. Every one of us knew there wasn't one until you hit the Midwest. He drove around for hours. In that case, I did enjoy there not being a Waffle House here because I laughed at his ass all weekend for that. Let's see. Watched a documentary on Gaia channel called Why Water Areas. They discovered how water can be programmed with our thoughts and emotions. I actually saw that documentary. I've seen that experiment, and that experiment has yet to be repeated. So it's kind of one of those things where you had it's an interesting concept. It's something I want to pursue more. I wish they would pursue more. But as far as the actual experiment that supposedly proved it, it's unreplicatable at this time, or as of last year, I guess. Anything could change since last year. But until they can actually start replicating it, it's not technically proven, if that makes some sense. But it is still a cool concept, and one does have to wonder, did it actually have an effect, or was it a one-time singled-out coincidence? Those are kind of that's where the metaphysics and the scientist brain fight. But I do absolutely love stuff like that. I did see that. I enjoyed that one particularly. I don't know if I saw it on Gaia, though. Oh my God, that poor guy. No, there is not. There is not. Not. He would have had to drive 1,000 miles in that dually before he found a Waffle House. Let's see. I could have sworn I saw some. Let's see. So I think that is funny about how your brain U-turns and makes new roads, and your wife sees how. Well, I have to explain it to her before she sees it. Like if I did explain it to her, she'd be like, I don't like. She's actually told our friends, I don't know how I got there. But she's been married to me long enough. When I explain it, she can at least see the path I took through the forest, even if it's just like, just a footpath or something. Maybe not even a footpath. Maybe I had to bushwhack my way through. But I got there, by God. Might have been a game trail. You don't know. But I got there. Megan, maybe there's no such thing as coincidence. Things happen for a reason. And there's an argument there. Because actually, this exact experiment, Megan, that's kind of cool that you say that. A friend of mine actually gave this concept. He was talking about, well, coincidences, they happen, they're this, and they're pointless. You got to completely toss them out. And then another friend, of course, chimes in, well, there's no such thing as coincidences. So we have two complete opposite parallels of this debate. And then they look at me to drag me in this because clearly I need to be dragged into this drama. So I do what I do best. I go down logic, and I'm going to piss you off road at the same time at full speed. And I'm telling them, well, what if it is a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence in the way we normally define it? Because what if this particular singular, solitary, isolated event has no purpose to the experiment at all? Let's say it has nothing to do with the experiment at all, but the fact that it happened actually had a purpose to cause the millions of people who's going to see this, whether it's in a research paper, a documentary, on the internet, or some drunk telling them about it at a party, causes them to think, causes them to pursue a line of logic, look into stuff, research, and discover entirely new things that may either be related or be completely unrelated. Either way, that one singular supposed coincidence then serves a purpose. They did not talk to me the rest of the night. Which bonus points. Okay, we are getting ready to wrap up. Next week, I'm actually going to try that new format I told you about. So next week, we will be having a topic. I'll put the topic in the actual video title. You'll see it. I don't know if it'll be topic and then coffee hour, then topic. But it'll be there. You'll see it. Just read. And then the second half, we will definitely do the free forum chat where we goof off and have us a big old time, because I love this stuff. You guys ask some crazy questions, great questions. My generation, we use crazy as a good thing. Let's see. I think that is fun. And Jade's throwing clocks at me. Yay! Hey, Drake, setting out a cup of coffee in your honor. How many creams or sugar do you take? I drink it black. I drink it 40 weight. It needs to be strong enough to wake the neighbors up. That's how I drink my coffee. I don't do cream and sugar. It's black as my heart in my hat. And yeah, 40 weight. Much love, bro. Does this say Held Drakus? You can see that. You all have a fantastic week. I got a lot of stuff. I actually got a friend visiting this week. So going to have some fun this week. Going to do some cooking. Probably going to run the smoker. Yeah, going to be good. Going to be good. You all have a good one. Enjoy the weather where I'm at. Spring is finally getting here. It's like freaking mid-April. It's just now starting to stick its toe in. It's not really quite spring yet. It still needs to grow up to be full spring, but it's starting to get here. If you guys already got spring, enjoy it. Get out there and enjoy it for me. Till next time, everyone. Have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.